A very good morning to everyone and welcome to the ODPP Café. My name is Anita Onuko. Thank you very much for joining us today. We took a break last week to celebrate Eid, and we wish our Muslim brothers and sisters a happy Eid still. I hope you had a good time last week. So the ODPP Café comes to you every Friday at 8 a.m. and the show is meant to educate and inform you about matters concerning the criminal justice system from the ODPP's perspective. Feel free to let us know where you are, where you're joining us from. We are on Facebook, as you can see on Facebook Live, at ODPP Kenya, Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We are on Twitter at ODPP_KE. We are also on YouTube. We welcome you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Engage with us and let us know if you have a question, if you want anything clarified. There's always a team of experts waiting to respond to you. And on the show today, we'll discuss what we've been discussing on our social media platforms. You're also welcome to engage with us on these shows. Remember to like and subscribe and also share with your friends and colleagues to engage with us as well. As usual, we start with a quick sneak into what has been happening at the courts. We have a few cases that we can bring on to discuss with you. It's not everything, just a few select cases that we have put together for you. And I'll start with the first one. There's a man who was charged with forging a burial permit. You can imagine what that means. But then this guy is called Solomon Kithuka. He wanted to get money from Jubilee Insurance, 230,000 Kenya shillings. He alleged that his nephew Mutisia Muthoka had died. So he was charged with forging a burial permit. And get this, what's his name? Solomon was charged with, just give me a second, it has just slipped again. So yes, so he was charged in court with forging a burial permit of a person who is still alive, and the person happens to be his nephew. He wanted to claim insurance cover. So this cover was 230,000 Kenya shillings. His nephew is Mutisia Muthoka, the one who was alleged to have died, which of course was a lie. So Solomon Kithuka was charged in court, and he was asked to... He denied the charges, of course, and was released on a cash bail of 300,000. So he tried to get 230,000, but he was released on a cash bail of 300,000. The case will be mentioned on May 31st for fixing of a hearing date. Remember, we discussed about bail. It doesn't mean that Solomon is free, but he is been given conditions that must see him appear in court to answer to these charges. The next case is about 5 people. These are 4 Ugandans and 1 Kenyan. They were charged with dealing with endangered species contrary to the KWS Conservation and Management Act of 2013. The 4 were charged with, they were found to have 200 kgs of sandalwood inside their car without permit. So these are 5 people. There were 4 Ugandans and 1 Kenyan. The Kenyan, Mutie, is said to be the mastermind of the illegal business, and the State Prosecution Counsel, Robert Ogallo, told the court that Mutie's mobile phone is still being analyzed by the NIS and DCI Forensics Department, meaning investigation is still ongoing. The 5 suspects denied the charges, and the hearing is slated for 4th of August 2021. So these are 4 Kenyans and 1 Ugandan. They were charged with having sandalwood illegally in their car. The next case is about the former high school principal who was charged with the murder of her husband. We've discussed this, I think, twice before. Former Ishashiri Girls Secondary School principal Jane Modhoni will know her fate next month after she was found guilty of committing the brutal murder of her husband, Solomon Mwangi, in 2016. Remember, this case, it was very intriguing. The prosecution side presented their case and their submissions before court, seeking to have Jane Modhoni and the co-accused face the maximum sentences over the murder of her husband. Modhoni, through her lawyer, asked the court to be lenient on grounds that the family had gone through a traumatic experience. The sentencing is slated for June 3rd, 2021. The next case has also been one of those we've discussed, I think, twice here on the show. It's about Jennifer Wambua. The DPP approved the murder charges against Jennifer Wambua. The suspect, Peter Mwangi, alias Ole Sankale, has been charged with the murder of the NLC official Jennifer Wambua. DCI detectives arrested Mwangi in the murder of Jennifer, And the forensics placed him at the scene. So these investigations were done and they placed this guy at the scene. The body of Jennifer was found at the city mortuary after she went missing. Nairobi Police Commander Philip Ndolo revealed that her body was found dumped at Ngong Forest. So this case has a suspect and it is going to court. And then our last case today is about a woman who was charged with assault. A woman was charged with assaulting her husband's lover a month after she left their Kangemi home. Margaret Wandia was accused of assaulting Jane Wawira. She went to pick utensils. I think it was one of those finally. So she went to pick utensils. An argument ensued between the two women, and Margaret assaulted Jane on May 14th. And this case was in court, and she denied the charges and was released on a cash bail of 10,000. The case will be heard on June 27th this year, 2021. So those are the cases we had, the roundup of cases we had from the courts. And we move on to our topic today. This week we've been discussing traffic offenses, the Traffic Act, and it is also the Global Traffic Week, I think. The world over has a day they're marking today, the UN Global Traffic Awareness Week, and they have a call to action about driving at 30 kilometers per hour on walkways and where people are. I mean, they're asking that drivers should not speed where people are. People are walking, pedestrians are walking. And we'll discuss that a bit in the show. So before we get into the show, I'd like to invite my panelists. I have two prosecution counsels from the ODPP who are going to talk to us about the traffic offenses. And of course, you've asked questions. We've tried responding to some, but today we are going to capture a lot of the questions you asked on social, and you can also ask as we go on to the show so that you get some clarification. I know this is one gray area for most people. We always find ourselves in a spot with traffic cops and traffic offenses, and sometimes you don't know what to do. So I'm going to go straight to inviting my guests. Thank you very much. Ladies first. So I'll invite you to introduce yourself. Tell us what your name is.
Thank you, Anita. My name is Ann Penny Murugi Gakumu.
Names.
Yes, I have many names. Ann Penny Murugi Gakumu. I'm with the ODPP office in Makueni County. Mm-hmm. I joined DPP in the year 2016.
Oh, karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for the invitation, Anita. Mm-hmm. My name is James Mashira, Prosecution Counsel at Milimani. I was called to the bar in the year 2014, which means this is my 8th year of practice.
At the ODPP?
No. At the ODPP, I came to the ODPP in the year 2017, January.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, karibu sana to the show.
Asante.
So this show is about educating people. And like I said, traffic is a very gray area for most people. True. You don't know what to do sometimes. I think I'm one of those people who freeze when I see a cop flagging me down and you just want to run. Sometimes really it's about nothing you've done, but just the fear of not knowing what will come up. Sure. So I want us to discuss the Traffic Act today, and you're the experts on the show. So like I said, people are going to ask questions. Some have already asked, but you're going to go through some questions that we have today. So maybe I'll start with you, Anne. How does the criminal justice system work with regards to traffic offenses? I mean, how does it work? Who does what? You do prosecution.
Yes.
But then what happens before it comes to you?
Thank you, Anita. The traffic matters. The traffic matters in our criminal justice system, unfortunately, have been categorized as criminal matters.
Oh, why?
They carry a lot of aspect, the criminal aspect in it, as much as the majority of them may not have that personal complainant to it. You find that the state has the right to protect its own people. Oh, yes. So the state most of the time is actually all the time is the complainant. In traffic matters.
Yeah, I was wondering about that today.
Yes. Everybody, the state becomes the complainant in the traffic matters, and anybody else who may have been a witness or a victim of an accident becomes the witness. Okay. So they go through the normal criminal procedure in the normal criminal procedure in our system, where the police do the investigations. The investigation file is brought to the DPP to make that determination as to whether the ingredients of the traffic offenses have been met. And the prosecutors, the DPP through the prosecutor admits these matters into the case in our court system, and they do prosecute before a court of law.
That's interesting. So in making the decision to charge, you look at the same thing, the evidentiary and the public
Yes,
interest.
the threshold is the same. We
the
still,
same.
yes, we still look at the two tests.
And now that you're there, I need to ask, when looking at the evidentiary, sometimes, and most of the times, people complain about being framed. I was driving at 50, the cop said I was driving at 100. How do I prove that I was not? What happens?
You see, Anita, the criminal system or the traffic criminal system in our system is adversarial. Us guys adduce the evidence.
What does
The
that mean?
other side as that right of response or defense,
Okay.
of where they can bring in any rebuttal evidence, if at all it is there. Our traffic crews, our traffic acts, they have criminalized overspeeding as an offense. As it is, we know police work with gadgets.
Yes.
They do have the gadgets. They can trail a vehicle. They can tell at what speed a person is driving, and those tickets are there. As a prosecutor, it's not enough to say that this person was overspeeding. I will ask for the evidence that this person was overspeeding. Majority of the time, there's a gadget that brings the printout with the car registration that a particular person was driving. We have the particulars of the person who was driving this vehicle, and the readings are there. In case you have any rebuttal evidence, assuming that you have your own cameras in your vehicle, bring it. We look at the admissibility of the evidence that is before us.
Okay. Sometimes it feels as though when you're driving, you need to be told there are speed cops up there. Sometimes it just springs on you. Should we know as citizens where these gadgets are? Is it fair?
I don't think it is really necessary to know where these cameras are. It calls for discipline. And Anita, ignorance of the law is not defense.
Yeah.
It just calls for self-discipline. Your vehicle should be moving at a speed of 80 kilometers. Why do 120? We have signages on the road which gives the speed limits. You approach a school, for example, or a marketplace. We all know. If you're a driver, the speed that is called for in a marketplace or a school is the 50 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
Why do 80? Because your vehicle can do 80 or 100.
Yeah, but then, well, I'm asking.
Yes,
I'm just asking from a citizen point of view.
Yes.
Like, for example, you're driving down Valley Road and you see it is 30 kilometers per hour. But then kuna mteremko inakuita. I mean, why do you charge me and it is the topology of the area? Anyway, that is just a question of debate. So anyway, just tell me, should a traffic officer always identify themselves?
It is important because the Traffic Act makes it a requirement that the traffic officer is supposed to operate while in uniform. He should have a badge on him.
Okay.
So that when you flag a motor vehicle down and that motor vehicle fails to stop, then it becomes an offense. Yeah, that now will create the security for Kenyans because you cannot expect to start anywhere you are stopped by a civilian who has not identified themselves as a police officer, and then you might be a victim for robbery and such.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Is there an implied aspect to it? Can I assume, because I've seen that guy with a walkie-talkie, then he's a cop?
No, it is not implied. It is not implied. There should be, even in the circumstances that where they have an operation, you're supposed to have a uniformed officer and other inspectors. The other inspectors might not have the uniform, but that one officer should be in uniform so that you know that these guys are...
Is a cop.
Yeah.
Okay, so are they, and this needs clarification, at what point should a cop enter my car?
It's very clear in the Traffic Act, Section 105 of the Traffic Act.
What does it say?
Yeah, it says that a traffic police officer can stop any motor vehicle, and after stopping any motor vehicle, that officer may enter into that vehicle. That is at 1A. 1B also, that police officer may command you to drive that motor vehicle to a police station. He may also drive himself that motor, your private car. Yes. Yeah. They're allowed to even drive that car to the police station.
So why do they talk always, and it's just common wananchi talk, that a cop should not enter your car? I don't know who came up with it, but they can.
I think the problem is that these people, the Kenyans, are not sensitized in matters traffic. We consume a lot of things from the social media, a lot of advice. Someone is telling you, no, please, the police officer is not supposed to drive a vehicle. But if it's not the first option, But if you fail to drive that motor vehicle, that traffic officer may commandeer that vehicle to the station. And you see, failing to also do what this officer is saying is a crime under the Traffic Act.
It's quite harsh.
Yeah.
It's quite harsh. But then does that open an avenue for corruption? I get into my car, I have done this mistake and I know. Then we are the two of us. Then we end up, it is like a wet area, like I had, isn't it?
It's all about
Discipline
integrity.
and integrity.
Integrity,
Yeah,
true.
yeah. Okay. So what are the other administrative powers of police officers under this Traffic Act? What else can they do? When a police flags me down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It depends the reason why they are flagging you down.
Yeah.
If you are speeding or your piece of driving is wanting, then that traffic officer may report you to another officer of a rank of a superintendent of police or above. That superintendent of police or someone of above that rank may take and revoke your license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are driving an unlicensed vehicle, then they can take away your license. Like you have a license for transporting goods and such things, they may take your licenses, and then from there, you may be subjected to a test before now your license is given back to you.
So all this is done by the police.
By the police
the
officer, without going to
investigative-
court.
Okay.
Without going to court.
They can
So
check my
that now,
license.
after you feel that the actions of the police officers are not legal and they victimized you unfairly, then you have a recourse to give a notice to the authority, that is NTSA, that you intend to appeal the actions of that officer to the court, subordinate court now. That is the first appeal to the subordinate court.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
All right. Interesting. So how does the NTSA work with the police and how do you work with the NTSA?
NTSA, police, prosecution, these are all stakeholders.
They're all
They must
stakeholders.
work together.
They must.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And there are certain, they have certain mandates as per the three acts. That is the NTSA Act, the Traffic Act, and the ODPP Act, and also now the Constitution, which brings them all together.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Anne, I will tell you a story. I was once arrested in the hills of Kapsabet, speed. But then where I was stopped, there was nowhere I could pay the fine, you know? So the thing was, I was coming to Nairobi, but then I'm told to wait until the next day to attend court in Kericho. So I'm wondering, how are these fines arrived at? And then I saw even someone asking on social media, are there other ways you can do these fines? Can we make these fines digital? Is there a plan of making them digital? Because half the time you get stuck and then it becomes another wet area because you're stuck and you have to speak around jitoe kwa story. So how are these fines arrived at? And when are we going to go digital with fines?
Yes, Anita, we do have the laws in place. The problem we have is implementation. When you look at why we had the traffic minor offences rules brought into place, it was to take care of some of these incidents. Because under the traffic minor offences rules, you are allowed, upon being arrested, to admit to your offence. The minute you admit to your offence, then a police officer can give you the option to pay. To make the payments, but it has to be the maximum penalty provided for under the traffic minor offences rules.
Wait, if I accept my mistake,
if you accept
you go
your
maximum
mistake,
on me.
You go maximum on you. But then remember, these are for offences under the Traffic Minor Offences Act, which are very negligible.
Yeah.
I think the maximum is 10,000. They range between 500 to 10,000 shillings. So you have that option. You know, even though you're taken before a court of law, you're likely to face a penalty of so much.
Yes.
So what the police officers tell you, they give you that chance. Where you are admitting, under the Traffic Minor Offences Act, you're given that leeway to admit, you pay. And you're given the notification. You get the notification. You're given the notification to attend court.
Yeah.
So you pay. Where you don't pay, where you don't accept, it's equivalent to pleading guilty. Assuming that you have no intentions of pleading guilty to any offense and you want to defend yourself before a court of law, you still have a chance to do that. The police has an option of giving you a bond, what they call the police bond. It's equivalent to the court boards that are given. You're given a board and you have a maximum of, is it 7 days? 7 days to appear before the court. Remember, the notification must have the jurisdiction where you committed the offense, the court that you're supposed to attend to, and which day and the time that you're supposed to attend court. So you will have 7 days within which to appear, And if you leave Kericho and let's say come to Nairobi and you still want to pay this fine, you can still make it within 48 hours. So we have the laws. Implementation has been what has been holding us back.
We have there's an option of digital fine.
Yes, there's an option of digital fine. Why were we electing CCTV all over?
I like the question, do they work?
Yes,
do they work?
We are headed there.
Yeah.
We are headed there. And with the commitment of all stakeholders, I don't see why we should
can't be there.
Yeah, why we can't be there. It should be encouraged. We have the law in place. It's just a matter of implementation.
And then your
Just a
permission,
matter of
if I may
implementation.
interject.
Yes.
These traffic minor offences, you remember they were the first traffic minor offences were enacted back in the year 1975. Yes.
But before you go there then, what is a minor traffic offense?
They are not classified under the Traffic Act.
There's,
So
no,
what are
there's no express definition of
Yes.
what is a minor traffic offense.
Okay.
But you can get them. The rules are there.
Okay.
You can zero in them. Not wearing a seatbelt.
Those are the minor ones.
Obstruction, driving on the pavements.
Okay,
There are these small mistakes that we make on a
Yes.
day-to-day life. You drive without your license. Appeal on passenger car is more than one. Just
Those are the
normal
minor
mistakes,
ones.
the
In
minor.
fact,
Yeah.
you can infer the minor offences from the definition of felony and
Misdemeanor.
misdemeanors.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Felony are those offences that carry a maximum of 3
years.
years.
I have become a lawyer on this show.
Yeah, and for minor offences, in fact, they carry a maximum of 6 months imprisonment.
yeah.
On an alternative of 6 months imprisonment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I also read that traffic offenses are the ones that are almost sometimes cause the backlog in the court system. So how do we avoid this? How can this be avoided? Because again, I think the ultimate goal is to decongest the system. So how do we avoid this? What do you do to avoid this?
Instant fine, digitized fines.
Yes.
It would really help. And setting up traffic courts in majority of our courts. I think it's only Nairobi that are specific traffic courts.
Specialized.
For the other court stations across the county, we are having the same courts hearing other criminal and civil matters,
Yes.
still dealing with
Also, we
traffic
need
matters.
specific courts for traffic.
For traffic matters, for purposes of fast
Are they
tracking.
that many that we need a traffic
They are many. They are many.
Okay.
By the way,
In
there are so
fact,
many.
or to you, if you're in a court that is situated on a highway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you expect to have them in bulk every morning.
Oh my. So what stops you from arresting me in Kapsabet and telling me because you're going to Nairobi, go to the traffic court in Nairobi?
Jurisdiction.
Oh,
Criminal
jurisdiction.
matters. It's
Yeah.
where the offense took
Happened.
place. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Traffic Act also gives a leeway in matters like not having a driving license.
Yeah.
That is section 36 of the Traffic Act. It gives you a leeway that the officer can tell you, you say that I'm qualified to drive. I just left my driving license at home. So the officer is mandated to give you a leeway so that you can appear at any station of your choice and present the driving license at a time appointed by this officer.
Okay.
So when this officer flags you down at Nairobi,
Yeah.
CBD, and you say that I'm headed to court at Naivasha, yes, they may allow you to go to Naivasha and report to Naivasha police station at a specific time and date. So that once you present to that police station, there will be communication. Once you show them the validity of your license,
Then
they let
it's
you
good
go.
to go.
Yeah.
But that is just open-ended. It really depends on the
Depends on the officer.
officer's mood.
Yeah.
But if my face annoys him, he says, kando mpaka ulete DL.
Lakini kama you are aware about your rights, you can tell them the law allows you to give me this leeway.
How
So
long?
please-
What is the leeway? What is the time limit for that?
The time is to be appointed by the officer. So this officer will tell you, tomorrow at 9, be at Naivasha. You've selected
Yes,
Naivasha Police
yes.
Station. Be at Naivasha Police Station, present your
present.
driving license.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So I watched a clip on Citizen TV by Jeff Koinange. He was in Rwanda. And traffic is obeyed by even border borders. Our border riders exempt from these laws. First of all, they become so many.
Yes.
And sometimes you're driving and you stop in traffic and then you just see them going. Like they don't have I want brakes. They just go. But you see, in Rwanda, you see them. In fact, it was specific. He really picked it out and said, watch this. Because in Rwanda, those guys stop. What? Tuki stop? Wanna stop. The red light, it appears to them. What is happening to our country, to our border riders? And what do we do?
Yes, Anita, to begin, it's culture. It's just culture, discipline, culture. It all goes back to your discipline.
Yeah.
That changes the culture of the people. And yes, border are bound by our traffic. They are not exempted. They are bound by our traffic acts. When you look at the act, they say anything that is not self-propelled, anything motor-propelled is bound, is governed under the traffic act. And look at the offenses. They touch on border riders.
Yeah.
Are we enforcing?
Are we enforcing?
We are not enforcing. That's why we have them in court every day. That's why, they form the back of our criminal justice system.
But I think it's very important because they nowadays have an association, and it's an opportunity to engage that association to train them because they die in numbers as well.
True.
Because of how they just miss out on following the rules. But we need to tell them they are not exempt from these laws.
And also, Anita, just like you said, it all goes back to sensitization
Yes.
of the traffic crews to both all motor riders, all the motor vehicle riders and the border riders. When you look at some of us who are drivers, we went to driving schools. There's nowhere you're taught about the traffic offenses. You're taught to drive a vehicle. Nobody sensitizes you on the traffic offenses. Up and until you break the law and you find yourself on that end, then that is when it clicks. Ask most of the border riders. They don't know that they are supposed to possess a license. Unafundishwa kuendesha motorbike, you flow with it.
Unafundishwa huko nyuma.
They are usually very short in court when they learn that they are supposed to have a rider's license.
Can you imagine?
Today, there's a rider's license.
There is a rider's license. You must be qualified to ride or to drive on our roads.
I mean,
sensitization
is needed. But then as we're talking about even the wet areas in traffic, the corruption spots, and talking about not respecting laws, it almost comes out as though our bad manners as a country is captured very well in traffic.
Yes.
I even learned strangely that there's a law against not indicating, like for indicate pale unaenda, you can be stopped and...
True.
But you see, again, our culture dictates that you don't indicate because you can indicate utapitwa. The minute you indicate, it is trouble for you. So normally, I think because now we are learning these things on the streets, it's not taught in driving school. You wait until you reach your junction, then you indicate. And you see, it inconveniences the person behind you. But the problem is if you indicate, that person plays a Kenyan card on you. And you can fail. Wanakataza kupita. So I think it's actually safe, not confirmed, not researched, that our culture as a people, and that's why maybe it's different in Rwanda. It really shows in how we operate.
And lack of knowledge. It's unfortunate that it is not defense.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not defense. It's not defense.
True.
And how about government vehicles? Siren imewekwa, are they exempt from traffic laws?
With the authority of the minister in charge of transport infrastructure, isn't it, housing and urban development. With that exemption direct from the minister, then you can be exempted. But you have to have the exemption before you do it. I think right now we know of the ambulances, the presidential motorcade, and the fire brigade.
But once you have a siren, it gives you...
No,
you have to be exempted.
Who gives sirens then?
You have to be exempted.
Who gives sirens?
Gazetted by the ministry.
So you go and request for a siren.
Yeah.
So that gives you the right to overtake in traffic.
When not the right to just...
The situation demands.
Situation demands, circumstance differs.
That was a very specific question, by the way, from social media. Are government vehicles exempt from traffic laws and rules?
I can tell you for a fact that as we speak, we have government officers in court.
Oh, because of that?
because of using the sirens and using the wrong side of the road.
Of the road.
Yeah.
Causing
Because
obstruction.
now you have the siren,
Yes.
or what we call the light bus. You want to put it on and use the wrong lane.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an offense.
It's
Still
an offense.
Interesting. I hope someone has
And you
been
can
answered.
imagine the number of government officers that we have in this country.
Yes.
Assuming everybody, by virtue of being a government officer, you have the siren. All these GKs, it would be chaotic.
But they bully us on the road.
We actually have a government
them.
vehicle and accident section, a unit within the traffic department
Okay.
to deal with the misbehaviors and accidents caused by the government vehicles.
Where is
So
that?
it's a very serious offense. Yeah, Nairobi area, we have an office.
So if I have an issue with the government vehicle, that is where I go and report.
Yes. The traffic officer will direct the matter there.
Oh.
Yeah.
But what if I, as a motorist,
Yeah.
have been harassed by a vehicle?
Yes.
I know it's not an ambulance, I know it's not the president, but I'm harassed
Yes.
by those escorts.
Yeah.
Can I drive into Nairobi area and report?
You report Nairobi area to the normal police officers. Now the
Oh,
police officers will
they're the
choose whether
ones
the
to-
matter goes to
Okay.
the GVIS or the normal traffic.
GVS is what?
Government vehicle accident section.
Okay. All right. Let's speak about touting for a while. I think it's something that you've been dealing with at the ODPP. Is it an offense?
Yeah.
A tout, is there a definition of a tout?
Makanga.
Makanga is not touting.
Oh,
That's
what
a
is
conductor. They are the functions of a conductor. Touting is where there is that noise pollution and noise nuisance to the public.
Oh.
Remember, police are there to ensure that there is public order.
Yes.
So the functions of a conductor are there. If he goes far and beyond what he's supposed to do and brings up the noise and everything, he should, because what is criminalized is the act, that noise pollution. You become a nuisance to the people. You're running across, making noise, hitting vehicles. That is what is an offense.
And pulling
Otherwise, when you
passengers.
look at our traffic act, the offense is by a conductor. And conductors should be duly identified through uniform and
Yes.
through their badges. They have training and they have licenses.
Yeah.
Our drivers do touts. Whose employee are they? Who accounts for them? An owner of a vehicle can only account for his conductor and his driver.
You're shocked.
So touting is the act of causing nuisance. Otherwise, we don't have people in the traffic there is no definition of a tout. Who's a tout? We know of conductors and drivers and owners of motor vehicles.
Anita, it's an offense.
It's an
Under
offense.
Section
I'm
103.
honestly shocked.
It's an
Under Section
offense.
103 of the Traffic Act, it's an offense. But now the problem will be, and I believe there's a matter that the DPP has spoken about. The problem that used to be is that the officers will now use that Section 103 to harass common Kenyans. Yeah,
True.
you're
For
just
another
passing
web
somewhere. You're just passing somewhere, and then you are a tout. You are touting. What is the evidence? Why is this person before this court?
Even
but-
proof I was touting.
Yeah.
That's why we are prosecutors. You need to look at that file. There must be a file.
So we do not encourage the charging of touts
Yes.
when the evidence is not there.
There.
Yeah, but still, it's still an offense.
Is it one of those things that need to be decriminalized?
Yeah.
Is that what the
No.
DPP is doing now?
It's a matter of belief.
It's
But
a
according
matter
to
of
me,
belief. Because you can imagine somebody who is arrested touting at a bus terminal. Because remember, these police, they don't work alone. They work in pairs. No police officer goes on patrol or duty
They should
alone.
not.
Yeah? If you have that proof, where you have people corroborating the evidence that clearly this was not a tout, he was arrested at a bus terminal, he was doing, and you have people saying that, I still believe it should remain a criminal. The only problem is we have to filter. We have to filter what comes before us, because you cannot charge somebody for touting anywhere,
Yeah.
especially a place that is not designated as a bus terminus. What were they touting? Who is expected to be there?
So touting is an employment opportunity.
yeah, for me, that is my personal opinion. It's an employment opportunity that can be exercised in the right way. So what we need to do, according to my personal opinion,
We are very clear to personal opinion, yes.
yeah, we need to decriminalize touting under Section 103 such that it becomes now an administrative
Yes,
issue. Yeah, that can be dealt with by the police or the NTSA. without necessarily
Going to
bringing
the
these
courts.
people to court. You see, court matters are very expensive to pursue. And then I'm pursuing someone who is not employed. And instead of going to be a thug somewhere, he chooses to come and attract customers in his own unlearned way by making noise. Yeah?
That's very
But- but-
interesting.
but-
What's the maximum penalty for touting?
Touting, they get up to 5,000.
No way. It should
yes,
honestly be decriminalized.
Yeah, it
Or
should.
500.
Yeah.
As a warning.
The best thing about the courts are very lenient in terms of some of these offenses. You can get a discharge, you can get 500,
Yeah.
but still you wasted your whole day in
Yeah.
court.
Yes,
They
it's
equal,
really,
sure.
it really wastes a lot of time. And I can imagine the people who are arrested for touting are people who live way below our normal standards of living. You know, you're there to earn your 50 bob per day.
Yeah.
So imagine you're arrested for touting. I have a question that I just thought about. Watu wa mkokoteni, the ones who block traffic, is there a law that deals with that?
I would normally I charge them with obstruction, if indeed they're on the road, because they are not provided for to be on the road under our traffic acts.
And not on the pavements as well.
In addition to that, the traffic laws also create a section for other vehicles other than the motor vehicle.
The motor vehicle.
Yes.
So this could be one of those.
This could be one of those, including a bicycle. That is other vehicles other than the motor vehicle.
Motor vehicle.
So they are also regulated somehow by the Traffic Act. And if you read section 87 to 88 there, you'll find that you can charge someone driving a motorcycle or a cart, the mkokoteni, with careless driving.
Oh.
Yeah? And then, or you can call it careless riding. And the fine is 100,000.
100.
Up to 100,000.
They pull.
Yeah?
100,000?
Or 1 year imprisonment, yes.
Honestly, then that's a discussion that must be had.
True.
Decriminalize and just get other ways of punishing these people, because taking this guy into court, first of all, if you're to look at it from the public interests perspective, from what my little knowledge of public interest, really, it wastes time, money, and resources to just prosecute a mkokoteni guy and then end up taking him to court for 100
What
days.
if that mkokoteni guy causes death?
That
by
is
his
a
careless
difference
driving?
too. Okay.
So that is where that conduct must be regulated.
Oh
The
my
guy is
God.
just, you find them at the globe roundabout. The guy is in the middle of the road,
Mdurwa.
the wrong side, with a mkokoteni,
True.
coming counter the traffic, which is a very bad offense.
Yes,
it is
I can
endangering
imagine.
to other road users.
And to oneself.
Yes, yes.
To that person pulling that mkokoteni, he's still endangering himself when he's on the highway. Because remember, they speed regulated. What's the speed of a mkokoteni? If we allowed them on the road,
Yes.
which we are saying minimum speed is that 30, 50,
Yes.
80.
Can you make it 50?
Unless we're from Teremko, then you go. Yeah.
Very difficult.
Oh, so then I get it about touting. I never really thought about it as an offense, but there's an aspect of it that is actually criminal.
True.
But it needs to be regulated and maybe discussed further in other platforms.
True.
About maybe decriminalizing and getting other forms of punishment for them. Because I can't imagine, umetoka Mathare alafu unashikwa na mbo 25,000. You went in the morning to earn your 50 bob. Then now you have to raise 5K. So I think it's a discussion that can be had elsewhere.
True.
And maybe more with other stakeholders. So there's something about a notification. Who issues a notification in minor offenses?
Should be the police officer. But remember, Ed Resort or Ed Place is our court. Our courts.
Yes. So first of all, what is a notification?
What is a notification?
It's actually a very interesting question, because under the Act we have several kind of notification. So the question would be, are you talking about a notification under Section 117 for Traffic Minor Offences
Yes,
Act, the rule under the Traffic Minor Offences rules,
Yes.
or the notification
Notice to attend
under
court.
Section 50 of the Traffic Act?
So that one for 50 tells me when to attend court.
Under Section 50, that is when you go to the police station. You've been charged with an
Okay,
offense.
yes.
You've been notified that they intend to prosecute you.
Okay.
So they give you a notice to attend court.
Okay.
Yeah, that on this date, at a specific time, you'll be required at either Milimani, Kibera, Makadara,
To attend
for
court.
this offense, it must state the offense, your name, particulars, the section under which you are supposed to be charged, the court, and the time.
And the time true.
Okay. And the other one?
The other one, it's what my senior was talking about,
Yeah.
in terms of the rules that we intend to
The
have them
minor offenses
implemented.
rules.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So that one is something that you'll use now to plead guilt, to admit liability.
It's a whole document, Anita. When you look at the one under Section 50, it's purely notifying you that you've committed an offense. Remember, there are rights of an accused person under Article 49 of our Constitution, isn't it? That is the one under Section 50, the notice to attend court. The notice to attend court. The one under Section 117 is the one that gives you the leeway to admit your guilt for minor traffic offenses. Yeah. And I think it's under Schedule 2 of the traffic minor offenses rule. That one, it's more elaborate. It has several parts. I think, is it A to F, where you find that Section A is similar to what he's talking about. You are informed of the offense that you've committed. It has the particulars of the court, the notice as to when to attend court and before which court. That is part A. Then you go, there is now the part B where you admit, where you admit the offense. Then there is a section where you are supposed to, there's a section that you're supposed to fill, admitting. There's also a section of payment, the penalty that you've paid, as per the prescribed maximum in the under
That
the
one for
rules.
me is debatable.
Then you still have the bit of the police officer, where they feel the police officer who arrested you, his particulars and all that. And there's also a section for the court, where once you admit guilty and you pay the penalty and the police officer has everything in place, these forms are then submitted to court. They're then submitted to court, and court enters a conviction and sentences you for the fine that you paid.
But then, Anita, you keep saying that it's debatable to you, and I can assure you it's not debatable. This maximum under the traffic rules,
Is actually
2016. Like, for example, I take the offense of obstruction under Section 55. The rules provides for a maximum of 10,000 shillings. Yes?
Okay.
When it comes to the act, the same traffic act, without considering the rules, once you go to the court of law, the court may fine you up to 50,000 shillings for the first offender. For the second offender, obstructions attracts up to a fine of 75,000 shillings. So you can imagine, you can compare the maximum of 10 with the maximum of 75 before court of law.
True.
So the rules are very lenient, and I think that is the way
that makes sense. But then the question is, matatu, mathrees, are they immune to these fines? Because honestly,
are they immune?
The number of obstructions I just see with my eyes coming to work, I mean, they are like, you feel like just calling cops on them, but they don't seem to care. And sometimes a cop is there and you discover the cause of traffic is mathrees obstructing. Look at any point where there's a stage. And maybe have you found ways around this? Because you can't keep charging the same people with the same offense every time. Are there sensitization going on around for these people? I think for them, they're like border riders. The question is, are they exempt? Because traffic, half the time, on our roads is caused by a mathri obstructing.
Nobody is above the law, and they are not. They are not immune.
Yeah.
I would go back to our culture. It's simply it's just culture and lack of discipline. Because most of these mathris, when there's a police officer, they behave.
Or not.
When there's a police officer, why are we encouraging that corruption?
Yes.
Why are we encouraging that corruption? It brings in all these other issues.
But then they encourage the corruption, and then they'll come to complain
about corruption.
And
that has always been my bone of contention.
Yes.
We complain about corruption, yet we don't play our role in mitigating or stopping corruption. Because you see these wet areas we're talking about, you see the burden most of the time is on me, the citizen, to engage in a corrupt act or not. So then you put the police officer in a space of
exploiting the ignorance of the citizens. Because now, if you knew that the offense attracts a maximum fine of 5,000 shillings, why would you give a police officer 3,000 shillings? And before a court of law, you have a leeway to mitigate
Yeah.
and perhaps
And
get a
that
discharge.
3,000.
Yeah?
Yes.
You might even go scot-free after appearing
Yeah.
before a court of law, but people fear the court of law to the effect that they would rather
And time.
compromise some people.
And time.
It's not even fear, it is wasting of time.
That is why we have now the traffic minor offences rules.
Yeah.
That is what we intend to remedy.
That will
yeah.
remedy
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
If we were to implement the traffic minor offences rules, then that would minimize, because it is not time wastage. And you know your rights, know your obligations, stick to them. We avoid
It's so easy
most of
when you
these
speak
problems.
about it like that, but I'm imagining in practice.
But it is true, Anita. Surely you're caught by a police officer. If as citizens we go up in arm and say, I know my rights, the law provides that I can admit my mistake. These offences are bailable. Give me a police board. I will appear. Then we eradicate the corruption.
I promise
But
you.
what are we doing? The first thing you're arrested, you're thinking, wasting time. Not getting out of it the right way. We are thinking wasting time. Wasting time.
I promise you, Anne, the problem is time wasting. I know someone who's arrested at the roundabout at Haile Selassie. Sijui alikuwa on the wrong side, whatever that roundabout, the roundabout rules, he flouted them. Then he didn't flout them. The cop assumed that he's flouted them. So he had an argument and said, I'm not wrong. You are the one who's wrong. You didn't see me properly, you know. You made an assumption. I was going this way, but I was going, then you flagged me down. So this guy had a case. Then he said, I'm going to court. Hii siwachi mtu. 2 weeks. Anaenda mention, anarudi. Anaenda mention, anarudi. It's like, imagine ningelipa tu huyu mtu pesa, because now he's wasted time out of work. His business has suffered because he's trying to prove that hakufanya makosa kwa roundabout. And you see, that's a very gray area as well.
My question would be, did the police officer actually ask for money?
No.
This guy had.
You see now,
there is that wrongful assumption that once a police officer flags you down, they want money. Sometimes you have very good officers.
They are very good officers, but if I want to get out of my crime,
yes,
out of the space I am in,
yes.
I'm like, bana kunywa tu chai mimi niende mali
See, unaona culture.
Our culture needs to be looked at.
Yes.
Before I go into social, I want you to tell me about, because on this show we've talked about plea bargain, bail and bond, and diversion. How do these apply in traffic, while in traffic? You've talked about me admitting my mistake.
True.
But then you punish me for admitting my mistake.
It's a mitigation factor.
Yeah.
You admitting you're saving time. In fact, under the minor, the traffic minor offences, the court you can also appear in court and mitigate. And the court has the leeway to fine you less than you had paid to the police officer and order a refund of the excess coming from mitigation.
Wow. Okay.
Plea bargaining also works in the sense that you may commit one or more offences during a certain transaction. Instead of charging you with 7 counts, we can plea bargain and we do away with some of the minor counts and go for the major count. And you also use it as mitigation. You're saving court's time, you're saving resources.
And you want time.
You get a lighter sentence. Diversions are everywhere, isn't it? Diversion is before court and after court. There are those minor accidents you get on the road. You as drivers get to sort it out. You go free. You go to a police station, you report an accident, you are able to agree. These matters we all refer to the insurance companies.
Yes.
Basically, that is diversion. That is diversion. Because remember, traffic matters is any accident that results into personal injuries or material damage. This ought to be under our traffic laws and traffic criminal matters in court. But police are diverting them.
Yeah. So I'm wondering,
how are you doing diversion of the money now that in the traffic matter?
yeah.
We do diversion as she has stated. For example, one accident, 10 people are injured. An officer prepares a charge sheet of 10 counts. Every person who was injured being a count. The charge sheet is forwarded to the DPP. It gets to the central intake. Then the guy at the central intake looks at the charges and realizes that it was one accident. Yeah? Passes the charge sheet to court. Then the court prosecutor looks at the charge and then tells the guy, or the guy comes to the prosecutor and says, I want to plead with the state for purposes of plea bargain or so that I can get maybe a lenient sentence, and thereafter we finish this matter without going to full hearing. Legally, I look at the charge sheet and I find that it was one offense of careless driving that resulted to so many injuries. So we can plead again and have these charges lumped together as one count. Yeah, so that he pleads guilty, the matter is done within first hearing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's still within the law. You get justice. All the injured people can now claim compensation before civil court, and everyone is happy.
Do you think, again, from just my public eye, from where I'm seated as a citizen,
Yeah.
these small cases of mkokoteni, matri, sijui motorbike, can they benefit more from going through a diversion process rather than them going into the justice system? You know, I mean, like you're saying, does it help anyone for a mkokoteni guy to be taken through the system, to be charged money he can't afford, then he's taken to jail?
It doesn't help. In fact, it's somehow legal. You see, sometimes they say that Charles Dickens, that the law is an ass.
It is.
Yeah? But diversion will create a very good environment that will actually make citizens understand that even the state is not trying to punish us.
Yes.
We've already offended. We need to pay for that,
Yeah.
perhaps. We need to learn.
Yeah.
And the question is it just the penalty or the imprisonment that will correct that offense? No.
It should be
So we can
restorative
have
to
these
some extent,
people
yeah.
diverted and resent to school for purposes of taking a second test.
Isn't that more productive?
It's more productive.
It's more productive.
Yeah. So you go back to school, do a test, pass, get back your license, and everyone is happy.
Everyone is
Let me
happy.
tell you something. These kanges of Jiburu Rongai, wanaonanga wamefika. If you actually give them some nice community service, hawataki kuonekana kwa hizo hawatarudia makosa.
We can embrace it, Anita.
Yeah.
And just to give a live example of diversion,
Yes.
a matter where I have participated in diversion. You can imagine somebody being caught for a traffic offense, assuming overspeeding.
Yes.
And you offer a bribe to a police officer. This evidence is captured.
Oh.
And we charge you with both under the Traffic Act and anti-corruption for offering a bribe. Isn't it? You come to court. Remember, anti-corruption, we need the consent of the DPP to prosecute.
Yes.
And to also have the matter withdrawn. So you come to court and tell me, as a prosecutor, I am willing to admit my mistakes. Fine me for the traffic matter. Kindly plead again for the rest of the offenses.
It works.
It
That
works.
works, yeah.
It works. And it deters others.
It does.
These matters come to court, they become eye-opener. Remember, court is an open court for everyone. It sends a message. You deter.
It does. And I think when you look at culture, our values, our bad manners, mkipanishiwa live tukiwa naosha Nairobi River siku moja, some community service, aurudi.
Hata obstructions, watu wa boda. I've seen from experience. Charge them with the right charges and the serious charges. The minute one of them is given a proper fine. Not exaggerated, but like he's saying, instead of charging under the traffic minor offenses, charge under the main act, the main traffic act, which has hefty fines.
Yes.
Charge them. The word will go round. Hiyo koti
itakuwa funzo.
For obstructions for these, we are getting a maximum of this. It deters.
Yeah.
It educates and it deters the public.
Okay. So like I said, we are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, and we are on Twitter. And I can see, this is a difficult name, Snave Adno, thank you for joining us on Twitter. So he asks, what is the appeal process for traffic offenses, especially when an order is given to release a roadworthy motor vehicle?
When an order is?
An order is given to release an unroadworthy motor vehicle. I don't know what the question, but I think the main question here, what is the appeal process for traffic offenses?
Similar as any other criminal matters. Everyone has a right of 14 days, a right of appeal. You get convicted, get sentenced in the lower court. You are unhappy or dissatisfied with the sentence, you appeal to the High Court. The procedure is the same. High Court is a court of record, isn't it? They are bound by the proceedings of the lower court. The process is the same.
Okay.
In most of the cases where there are exhibits involved, I imagine that's what he's asking about, where you have exhibits involved, where you have exhibits involved, then they are normally released also after the lapse of the 14 days right of appeal, isn't it?
Yeah.
The 14 days right of appeal. And remember, if it's an unroadworthy vehicle, what was produced, because at the end of the day, you need the inspection reports from experts to really show that this vehicle was unroadworthy. It's not just the vehicle itself, the vessel, unless there are those things, those features that you want the court to see. That is why we keep these vehicles.
Okay.
Then number two, why do we need to keep that unroadworthy motor vehicle as a court? If the exhibit has already been produced in court, we release the unroadworthy motor vehicle to the owner. Now it becomes the issue of national NTSA, Transport and Safety Authority, to deregister that motor vehicle from running in the roads. The vehicle still belongs to the owner, as proved, and the owner may even disintegrate the vehicle and sell the parts.
Yes.
Still his property. So it should be released after it has been adduced before a court of law.
So when you release it,
should be very clear what he's asking.
Yes, but then when you release it, do you inform NTSA you've released an unroadworthy motor vehicle?
We don't release. The release is from court.
The court.
We produce them in court.
Yeah.
So the court informs NTSA.
In fact, the court may give an order to NTSA, but what is required is just a conviction. With that conviction, now the police officer will go to NTSA and have the vehicle deregistered from operating. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So Eliud Chege, thank you very much. He says he's learning something, especially on obstruction. Sensitization is important. And then Joash asks, and this is very interesting, we've discussed this a bit, is a motorcycle using a footbridge an offense? They misuse footbridges if at all they're not supposed to. Because even he says, because in Mutindwa, you know Mutindwa? Boda bodas have more right of the way than someone on foot. You can jump off a footbridge when they're hooting.
You should ask them what a footbridge is.
What's a footbridge?
Is motor vehicle a foot?
Miguu.
A footbridge.
Sindio?
So
they should be on the road because that is a footbridge for people walking.
For people walking, pedestrians.
Yeah.
It's a pedestrian walk.
So it's an offense.
It's an offense.
Sasa nyinyi ndio maloya wetu. Tutafanya nini huko kwa footbridge? Tutafanya nini huko?
Enforcement by traffic officers.
Yeah.
They should enforce to ensure that these traffic officers are not border riders are not
using the footbridge.
A lot of sensitization is needed for this group of people. William Madenge thanks. He asks, does the prosecution play a role in the implementation of the minor traffic offences rule? And I must admit, before this show, I thought it's easy to, I'm imagining because I've not had this discussion before, but it's easy to have this discussion of traffic with the police officers because, but then I was wondering what approach do you take from the prosecution angle? But you brought it out very well. There's a criminal aspect to this whole traffic thing. So this guy is asking, do you have a role to play in the implementation of the minor traffic offences?
Yes, we have, because the only mandate under the prosecution, Article 157, is the mandate by the DPP. So although the traffic rules are supposed to be somehow administrative, they must have the blessings of the DPP. DPP is one of the stakeholders. Yeah. So of course, the DPP and the prosecution have a say and a stake in the implementation of the rules. But remember, this implementation is being done by several stakeholders. We must sit with the Ministry of Interior, sitting with the finance departments, the police officer, National Police Service, the NTSA, so many stakeholders, the judiciary, for it to finally be effected before a court of law.
True.
Yeah, since as we speak, they've not been effected. Yes. Okay.
I'm just wondering again, just from the top of my mind as a citizen, is this one of those things again that is under the mandate of the DPP? For them, like tunasema hii story ya footbridge, it looks like a joke, but it's a menace. Is it now for us to say, ifikie DPP ambie polisi waangalie? Is it something he can do?
Yeah, he may
like we said, raise your concerns and your complaints with the relevant authority. Then it can be taken taken care of. Then you remember there is also the bylaws, the county bylaws that deal with some also of these things. We have seen, like Nairobi, we have the city council marshals. What are they doing? They are stakeholders. They know where these problems are. We put them on our road. We have the parking. lot officers from the county council, they are stakeholders, they are assisting.
Yes.
So the laws are there. Can we just sensitize the matatu owners? Yes.
Matatu owners also.
Sensitizing, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
And remember, this
Yeah.
traffic matters, even when you're talking about DPP being part of it. The process involves the investigating officers, it involves the prosecutors, which is the DPP, and the end result is the court.
Remember the first
All of
question
us.
was, how does the criminal justice system work? Yeah. So it's very important for us to know this.
Exactly.
Okay, Aaron, thank you for your question. Aaron says, but if you charge under huge fines, don't you think it encourages corruption, given that one may prefer to easily part with lower amounts and save time? Why must traffic offences end up in court?
Traffic offences depends with what offences he's talking
Yeah.
about. Would you be happy if one of your relative dies as a result of causing death, and then this matter never goes to a court of law? When you even look at the minor offences rules, they've left out some of these offences like careless driving, reckless driving, causing death. Some of these offences must come before a court of law. But some other offences, as we've spoken, under the minor offences rules, it's not a must that they come before a court of law. And that is something that is work in progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Joseph, thank you for your question again on YouTube. What set of documents should a prosecutor have in their files when charging me with a speeding offense? Is it just a charge sheet? Must I be asked to plead with the charge sheet? I think that's what it means. So what set of documents do you need to prove? Remember, speed. I honestly feel as a citizen, you should tell me there are speed cops ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, so what documents should you have? I think he's looking at the decision to charge.
Yes.
What is it?
There is always that printout with the particulars of this person, the vehicle he was driving, and the speed at which he was driving, the speed that he was driving at. Remember, different vehicles have different range of speed.
Yes.
So you need that printout. And I'm telling you, the police printout always has all the details, the type of vehicle you are driving, the registration of the vehicle that you're driving. They always retain your driving license, if at all you have it, to prove that you are actually the person who was driving that vehicle. But that printout, it's just like drinking under the influence of alcohol. I can come and say I was not drunk, but you remember there's already the breathalyzer reading. It forms part of the evidence before the court of law. It's not just enough for a police officer to come and say he was overspeeding. We don't charge. It goes back to the decision to charge. The decision to charge. I don't think anyone has been charged for overspeeding without the printout.
And then the statement from the...
And the statement from the two officers or the three officers who are there. Corroboration.
Yes.
It's either you have the witnesses to say it or you have the documentary evidence to say, to prove whatever you're saying. So boils down to the decision to charge. Why are we charging? What is it that is placed before us to charge? Most of those matters don't even see the light of day because they are filtered at the decision to charge stage before they get into the system. If you have been charged, then those documents must be produced. Otherwise, when you're reading the facts, what are you producing?
And it's up to you, the prosecutor,
it's
to
up to
ensure
us
that file
exactly
meets the threshold.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So on Facebook, Honorable Wilson Ogweno says, thanks, Senior Counsel James. You're really enlightening the Kenyan public. Karaoke Sam says, thanks, Karaoke, for your question. My experience with traffic cases is that convictions after hearings are few. The police officers in most instances do not prepare the cases well. Maybe because they assume the accused will plead guilty once charged.
There is that mischief.
There's
That's something that we have to agree with. And it's something that we actually fight with the officers concerning. Because once you charge someone, and majority of witnesses are from the police force, police service, point of correction. Why should someone be summoned by the court several times to appear for purposes of hearing? So the court will summon you for the first time. You are a police officer attached to a certain station. You will not show up the second time. The prosecutor will do a circular to the effect that you are needed in court. Then if you don't answer to the summons, then this matter will end up being withdrawn under 7A. That is why we have lesser convictions in matters that are pending before court. But otherwise, that is not something that we encourage because these police officers are actually on government payroll. The other issue is the issue of doctors where we have injuries. The government doctors are very few and they serve the extensive region of Kenya. So getting them to court also becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So you might
And
find that
gazetted inspectors.
yes, gazetted inspectors. You might find that due to the frustration of having these people coming to court, matter may end up being dismissed by the court or withdrawn by the prosecutor or getting an acquittal.
Okay.
And there is also the other problem, Anita, which I think the DPP, if we are all firm in what we do, then we can eliminate some of these problems. As we are talking of the minor traffic offenses, it's not proper to just accept a charge sheet for a traffic offense. Always call for the file. At least have, even before you admit somebody was not in a life jacket, ensure you have those statements there. The statement of the police officers who are on patrol or who are on duty. Otherwise, admitting a charge sheet with the hope that this person will come and plead guilty because it's a minor offense. Once they plead not guilty, the rush starts. We can avoid this at the point of admitting these charges as DPP. We curb the problem.
Interesting. Chapchirchir Kimotai says this is kudos, Anne, Penny, Gakomo, and Mashira. They used your full names. Aboko says it's very educative. Thank you very much. Judy says there are also border regulations and TSA Act which are in place. Implementation is a challenge.
True.
Yeah.
That's what we were saying.
Thanks, Evelyn Modhoni, for tuning in. I don't know whether we spoke about bail and bond. How does it work in traffic?
All offenses are bailable under our constitution.
Yes, except except
You're still entitled to bail, which is saying when police give you bail at the point of arrest before you're taken to court, these are what becomes summons once you come to court, isn't it? And when you come to court and plead not guilty for the offense that is facing you, the court still fixes your matter for hearing and you admit into bail bond. The procedure is the same. Yes.
Okay. Nimrod _Josh on Twitter asked, he thought he'd missed this discussion, well, he didn't. But he says, suppose I'm driving a motor vehicle with a cracked windshield. Can I be given a ticket rather than taken to a police station for almost a whole day?
You can get a ticket. In this case, meaning by ticket, meaning that you can get a notice to attend court.
The notification.
But now the problem becomes, after most Kenyans, due to their culture, get the notice to attend court, they never show up in court.
What happens if they don't show up in court?
We forfeit your cash
we
bill.
forfeit the cash bill.
And
No,
we
the notice,
warrant.
you see, the notice to attend court, you do not have a cash bill.
Majority of them have cash bills. It depends.
You're either coming at a notice to attend court or you have a cash bill. Yeah. So those people who come at a notice to attend court have just been left. Just go your way. This is the notice to attend court. Come on a specific date.
Wow,
they fail to show up. Then what happens is that the prosecutor will ask for warrant of arrest.
Warrant of arrest, yeah.
Now, the police at the station will have a lot of problems. They do not have
the particulars.
They do not have the particulars of this person. Yeah. So we do not have the database for traffic offenders.
True.
Where will you get this person who was transiting from Nairobi to Mombasa and reside somewhere along those lines?
Yeah.
They'll never come to Nairobi
They'll never
again.
come to Nairobi.
So you'll have a file that the prosecutor will withdraw under 7A, and then that goes to the record that prosecutors are withdrawing matters, all kind of matters. Yeah? So that is the challenge.
But the police are trying. The police are trying because my experience in the court where I am, when they give you the notice to attend court, they usually attach a cash bill to it, what they call the police bond. So in the first instance, that is what we forfeit. You don't show up. The notice is very clear that you are notified of the court, the time, where you should attend court, and you don't come to court. Then automatically we forfeit the cash bill that you left with the police officer. Then we issue the warrants of arrest. So the diligence should actually be from the police officer. Arrest somebody, give them these notices, maintain some
follow-up,
some particulars of this person, so that in case of an arrest warrant, then you're in a position to effect it.
If I may add that, you know, you have a rule under the Constitution that no one should be held beyond 24 days, 24 hours.
Yes.
This person tells you, yes, I've offended. I do not have cash bill. It's on a Friday. What do you do with this person?
As in, I say, sina pesa.
Sina pesa. I cannot afford the cash bill. You're telling me I pay you 10,000 cash bill. I do not have.
James, no, Jay, and fuliza.
Yeah.
Give a personal bail, maintain particulars.
What's a personal bail?
Because you don't need to give money. You just give, it's like an undertaking that I will appear. And mostly police officers should exercise it very cautionally, because by the time you're giving somebody personal bail, you're saying this is somebody I know, this is somebody's whereabout I can easily get him. So exercise it, but very cautionally. For a police officer, maintain records.
Okay. Someone says, Innocence Kenya says, how about the notification?
Yes.
How now when cops no longer even have tickets to book offenders? All they have is a rungu, empty pockets, or M-Pesa number. Does the data from court show an increase in fines paid or not? Would you know? If data shows...
It's only traffic court where you get 90+% of convictions and payment of fines.
Oh.
Yes, because most of them plead guilty. They pay instantly before being released. So yes, they pay a lot of fines.
All right. There's another question here. I didn't get the person who asked it. Please address the issue of border riders amplifying their sound. Noise pollution, that one for touting. Of their exhausters and possible penalties. What happens, by the way? Hii kelele yote ya boda, it's also noise pollution.
Noise pollution.
Annoyance in the public.
You realize there's a lot of sensitization and engagement needed for
True.
matriz and bodas, and they've become quite a problem. So someone says, Haji must, this is Pantera Leo. You know, people use their funny names on their handles sometimes. So Pantera Leo, Haji must reform traffic offences prosecution. Most roads are unmarked, have no signage, so as to know whether a road is for left-hand drive or right-hand drive is unclear. To know whether a road is one-way or two-way is hard. Is that really under your mandate?
No.
No. You see, that is under the authority of NTSA.
Yeah.
But when we charge, someone comes to court and tells you
It was
The road
not,
was
there was no
unmarked.
signage.
there was no signage. Then you go to the site, the police might insist they erase. Then when you go to a site visit, you find indeed, long time ago, there was a sign that has been corroded by the weather.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I can use that as defense.
It's a defense, yes, it is.
Hey, okay. Ernesto Griffin says, well, naomba tu siku moja msimame pale Ngong Road. Karibu na ligi ndogo, then tell us what the problem is. I don't know what you want us to discover. Must look like a discovery. Instant fines for traffic offences would significantly help reduce the backlog on petty cases and reduce corruption.
Yeah.
So this is Motorist Association of Kenya. Why is it not being introduced despite talk for years? Because it affects pockets. Is it because it affects pockets of the corrupt?
If I may answer that,
Yeah.
Just the other month, this year, I think April or late March, we went for a demonstration to see whether the instant fines will work. And it actually worked. Yeah. So I believe the authorities are at the tail end of implementing the traffic rules and instant fines.
Okay.
So they should be patient. Something is coming.
Resources also.
So by digital means what?
Resources
also. So by digital it means what you want. There's an M-Pesa number, you can pay your fine and move on.
It's an entire system, like the Wadilifu system, whereby they enter the charges, the DPP somewhere approves, the judiciary also endorses.
Yes.
The payment is paid through your phone to the system and goes to a certain bank account. Yeah, with the government.
All right.
Yeah.
And Dream Terry says, thanks senior counsels, you have really enlightened us today. And like we have said here, culture must change. I think a lot of our issues are culture based. CRT, there are no laws, it's just culture. So tell me, what are the challenges? And before that, somebody asked again, and I can't get the tweet, but I saw it yesterday. What is the international circulation permit? Which vehicles are eligible for this permit?
I'm not very conversant with the international circulation permit.
Yes.
But I know it has to do with foreign vehicles that actually get into to the country. If you own a foreign vehicle, you want it brought into your country of residence, then you must have that permit from the country of origin to you have to have a license from the borders and a license to operate that foreign vehicle within the country where you're resident. Yeah. I think it's most common for diplomats, isn't it?
Yeah, diplomats and people coming to work into a country. Yes, so you're coming with your vehicle that is registered in Kenya, or let's say in something registered outside COMESA or EAC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming to Kenya for purposes of work.
True.
Yeah, you have that registration from UK or USA. Come with the vehicle. Yeah.
The catch is you
The
must
requirement
prove, yes.
is that there are certain requirements under the KRA Customs Department that you must have gotten. Yeah, there are certain statutory forms. There are permits that you're supposed to get at the border from the origin of your country,
Proof of the
proof
ownership.
of ownership of that motor vehicle, or power of attorney.
From the
You've been
owner.
given that vehicle by someone else.
True.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be temporary. It's not a permanent thing. Yes.
Okay. Have I told you?
If you do not have it, then that vehicle may be detained by the authority.
Red plates ututesa kwa barabara. I think it's like this government, the question for government
The CD,
vehicles. Do they
Consular
have
Department. Immunity.
Are they immune to our traffic? Well, maybe now as we wind up the show, you may just tell me about the challenges that that you face in enforcing the traffic minor offences rules, actually, because I think that's the majority of what goes to court, the minor offences. What are the challenges? Of course, we talked about the digital fines, but do you have any other challenges you face in this one?
As prosecutors.
Yes, as prosecutors, definitely.
Lot.
And actually, and before you go there,
I actually want to leave it for my colleague
that's
who is
awesome.
in charge of our traffic.
That's awesome. So then maybe Anne, just one of the last questions, vehicular homicide. What do you look at? How do you come to the decision to charge vehicular homicide? Can you plea bargain?
All matters are plea bargainable.
Uh-huh.
All matters are plea bargainable.
Yes.
The catch is you must admit to have committed the offense. One thing, when we are talking about that word is very difficult.
Which one?
For some of us,
Vehicular homicide.
Oh, yeah.
for some of us to pronounce.
Yeah.
But of course, there must have been a death, which was occasioned by reckless or careless driving of a particular person. And when you look at it, it's the elements or the circumstances under which this person died, it's more inclined to purposed death, or how best can I put it?
In simple language. Yeah?
Okay.
Just come in and explain.
Vehicular homicide. Someone has caused death. Someone has died as a result of an accident.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
What do we look at as prosecutors before allowing that charge to go before a court of law? One, we'll have to look at the statement to establish the circumstances when this matter happened, the circumstances of the offense. What we are interrogating is the piece of driving. Is the driver culpable? Because this is a strict liability offense whereby you did not have mens rea that I want to go and kill someone using a motor vehicle. So there is no mens rea. There is no the guilty mind. So
you
what
thought about mens rea here also. Yeah.
So what I'll look at is the piece of the maneuver that you performed.
Yeah.
The piece of driving. Was it careless? And if it was careless and you are driving and someone died, causing death.
Causing death, true.
Then number two, I'll have to look at the post-mortem. That is evidence of death, fact of death.
And confirming the cause.
Yes. Okay. Then I look at the motor vehicle inspection report, whether this vehicle was defective, or whether there is any defense that this act just happened. You know, we don't punish.
Gari lileo.
Kuna ile kitu ati gari lileo. Kuna ile kitu yenye when you go now to the civil court for compensation, utaenda useme pale kuna kitu wanasemaga kama mawakili res ipsa rokito. The thing spoke for itself. Huyu mtu alikuwa guilty, someone died, he was hit by the motor vehicle, so he's culpable, he should pay. But in the criminal process, we don't just look at the death. We have to look at the piece of driving. Was it exercised in a diligence and skillful manner by this driver? And
in what circumstances? This person was driving? Remember, there is also the nature of the road, the weather, and the time at which an accident happened. So it's a whole. You have to look. You have
say potholes and manholes caused me to
At times,
Yes, you
at
say that,
times,
yeah.
at times, and Anita, you can use that, but that is more for the defense.
Okay.
For us as a prosecutor, you have to look at it wholesomely.
Yes, yes.
Whether, remember, during the day, an accident that happens during the day, you have the full view of what is happening on the road, what is happening on the road.
Yeah.
Driving on natural light is different from driving with headlights.
Yes.
So that all these things, you must look at it wholesomely.
Then the potholes you're talking about, yeah? I just hit the potholes. The vehicle
Veered off.
And hit him. I did not intend. That's an offense. You are a skilled driver. You expect to find obstruction.
James.
Yeah, something obstructing you. You expect to know that you should. By then, you know, to qualify to be a driver, you have to see a vehicle that is 25 meters away from you.
Oh.
So you also have to see the road 25 meters away from you, so that you don't hit a pothole. So you are speeding. That is why after hitting that pothole, you are unable to control that
motor vehicle.
So you did not exercise a prudent piece of driving. You're culpable.
I'll ask you questions quickly. It's just not to go deeply in depth with them.
Yes.
But things that bother us. People who have those white headlights. Is it
an
offense? You know those white lights in traffic, and then watu wa Subaru na kelele zao, it's an offense.
Modification.
You know those ones that annoy us on the road. It's an offense.
Modification.
Yeah. You can modify, yes.
Yeah.
But then you know how what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The noise pollution.
Yes, noise pollution. Does it fall under noise pollution? When I hit the road with my exhaust making all the noise in the world, is it an offense?
I think it becomes an NEMA issue now.
Noise pollution.
It becomes noise pollution and the NEMA issues, not traffic.
Okay.
Traffic looks at the modification and the defect of the motor vehicle.
And the defect of the motor vehicle.
Yeah.
PSV.
Yes.
Tinted windows.
Yes.
Such things.
Oh, there was also that thing last week of people being arrested with tinted.
Otherwise, the noise pollution was more of NEMA.
Oh,
you remember you have to get a license from NEMA for you even to play some of these musics in the vehicle.
Yeah.
And is it copyright?
Copyrights.
Yeah.
Copyright.
Yes.
So it's a NEMA issue.
But with my private vehicle, I can tint my windows.
You can tint.
You can tint, but you know, visibility. At the end of the day, if it limits you from visibility and to you,
good.
You are causing a dangerous situation for the other motor vehicles because you can see properly.
My son is 17 years old. I send him to the shops with my car. Akagonga mtu. What happens?
Is he authorized? Is he an authorized driver?
He's 17.
You are permitted.
Yes. Yeah,
those are so many offenses.
Traffic incidences, we don't look at whether you're authorized to drive or not. Yeah, we look at the action. Whether you are 17, 13, or 12, you caused a situation in a traffic road, so you are guilty. Number two, I'll also charge the owner of the motor vehicle for allowing an authorized person to drive.
Okay. I'm going to the supermarket and I've put my child on my laps and you're driving.
Dangerous situation for that child.
So I can be stopped by a cop and I am arrested.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, that is obstructing a driver. Yeah.
Okay, this has been interesting. I want to come to the end of the show and I want to thank you very much for your time. It's been very interesting. I didn't imagine that traffic has so many things. Like I still have questions that I can't cover today, but I know that a lot will come online and we'll be able to answer them. We've come to the end of the show and I thank you for joining us on YouTube, on Facebook and on Twitter. We have attempted to answer your questions. If you haven't answered, then we can still answer you via your DM or we can just go back and respond to your comment. Thank you once again. We wish you well over the weekend. Follow traffic rules. As you have seen, a lot of it is culture. Then there's corruption. Then there's our value system. I mean, those things are seen in traffic most of the time and it's just also on us to see how to manage well while we're on the road. This has been interesting. We can continue the discussion. Have a nice weekend and God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.